Do you ever wonder how a great story comes to be? What is the source? What is the inspiration? Where do the ideas come from? Well, those are the topics we're going to talk about on this chapter of Behind the Words TV. Hi, I'm Paul Madsen, host of the program and founder of growmedia.com. With me today to discuss those important things is Kathy Rygg. How you doing, Kathy?
Good. How are you, Paul?
Great to see you. Great to see you. Thank you for being here. Hey, where do stories come from? Out of the air?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. Where do your stories come from?
Story ideas can come from anywhere,
Okay.
any inspiration, and most writers will tell you ideas just pop into their heads.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
It's channeling all that. That's the hard part.
It is, yes.
Too many ideas in my head. All those voices.
So I'm a children's author. I
Right.
write middle grade fiction for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade kids.
Right.
And my latest book, which is The Butter Brickle Bond, this is actually a historical fiction book. And where I got the idea for this book is I love reading historical fiction, and one of my favorite authors is Tracy Chevalier, who has written probably most famously the book The Girl with the Pearl Earring.
Okay.
And what she is exceptional at is taking a more unknown event or time in history and creating an entire story around it. So
Which is what you did.
I wanted to try to do that.
Okay.
And it's very well known in Omaha that the Reuben sandwich was invented at the Blackstone Hotel during a poker game in the 1920s.
Wow. I did not know that.
What's not so well known is that Butter Brickle ice cream was also invented at the Blackstone Hotel in the 1920s,
Okay.
but nobody knows by whom or
Right.
how that happened. So I decided to create a story around that.
Well, it's just like the TV or the movie. It says based on actual events.
That's right.
And then you can put in your own stuff. And I've read the book. You've put in a lot of great stuff, a lot of friendship themes and great stuff. I mean, so how do you have this, well, first the inspiration from
Yes.
this other author. She has a real event and then she kind of fattens it up. And you had the local
Yep.
inspiration, local events. How do you fatten that up?
Right. So a lot of times with writers, there are two different ways that they go about the writing process. You have people who like to outline. They try to outline, the major plot points and the chapters. And then you have what we call the pantsters. They're the people who write from the seat of their pants. They don't outline, they just go with
Pantsers.
it. The pantsters, yes.
Yeah. Well,
I have tried it both ways,
Okay.
and I am way better outlining the story
Yeah, okay.
to begin with. You can still, kind of go veer off here and there, but
Right,
at least you're
right.
still following the same path to get to the end.
Right,
So
I understand.
I prefer to outline.
Well, and I think that's good because I have written a novel, and I'm a pantser. Well, the problem was I had 4 or 5 novels within one novel at one point, and I go chop, 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 and it was still too fat. A local excellent editor said, I told her about my novel, and she said, "But Paul, that's 2 novels."
Right.
So I guess I'm not Stephen King, especially based on sales. So anyway, yeah, I think the importance of outline. How do you outline? I mean, how do you do that? I mean, there's writers watching and they want to learn and know how you 8 books, right? So
Correct,
far?
yes.
So this is not a new idea for you.
Right, no.
Were you a pantser or an outliner for most of them? Which one?
So there was only one that I actually tried to just wing it. And I kind of got to a point and said, I don't know where to go from here.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's the difficulty
sure.
about it. But there are actually writing classes that you can take. Metro has great writing classes where
Right.
it helps you do that outline process.
They do.
So
Yeah.
typically there are certain plot points that you're writing towards, and
Right.
yeah.
Well, and YouTube has too much information. I mean, if you want to, how do I write a subgenre of historical fiction? I mean, you could probably get only 25 videos there, and most of them are trying to sell you a how-to course, of course.
Sure,
but,
right.
But I mean, when you talk about outlining, I mean, tell us about your improvement. I mean, you started several years ago. I mean, could you notice an improvement over the process?
Oh, yes,
And
absolutely.
how do
And-
you notice it, and how did that
Well,
happen?
what you start to do is, as you're outlining, then you can compare it to books you're reading and see, okay, well, what's how does their story flow, and
Well, that makes good
yeah,
sense.
so you can start to see the science behind
Okay.
the craft.
Is it a formula? Would you go as far as saying that?
There are definitely some formulaic aspects
Do you
to
think
writing.
the big sellers, are they formula books or are they breaking the formula?
So when I talk formula, I think it's more about having your story arc follow a certain path and you're hitting certain plot points along the way.
Right.
But the true differentiators are in your character development, the voice that you're having as an author, your writing style, and those take a lot of time to develop over a lot of years. But
Okay,
you just
well.
practice like any other craft, you practice.
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head there with the bottom line on it. You've got 8 books on your belt, and number 8 was enjoyable for me. The Butter Brickle Bond, Friendship, Historical Fiction, Local Omaha. Check it out for your middle grade reader. Kathy, thanks for being here.